Okay. Connect streaming software to go live. Still there, guys?
Yeah.
Still here.
Right. We should be streaming, but we're not yet. Ah. Right. Stream health. It says live. It's been about 6. And then it skipped to 32 seconds. Okay, I think it's safe to say we're probably live now.
We are most likely probably live.
Yes. Hello and welcome to this, the latest in Bilgecast Gaming Edition, with me, Sam Congrave. No, me, Ollie Johnson. You, Sam Congrave. Why did I say that?
Identity
I knew you were...
fraud.
What? Oh, by the way, Sam, you're now a member of the Church of Orthodox Gamers.
Oh, we don't want to be part of that.
Right.
Unorthodox.
Okay. All right.
I don't have time to grow sideburns.
Seb says you are probably live. Ah, good. Seb's here. Hello,
Hey,
Seb.
Seb.
Right. I'm Ollie Johnson. Introduce yourselves, guys.
I'm Murasaki's Pit, otherwise known as Sam Congrave.
And I am within the grey walls. You can call me Ian.
Right, and we're talking about our top 10 games of this console generation. How's the audio, by the way, Seb? Since you're here, before we go on, I want to make sure everything's good.
Yeah, I just wanted to specify that, again, these are just our opinions.
Yeah.
And we may not align with most of the people who actually listen to us, but also we're limited by what we've been able to play and what we actually enjoyed.
Yeah, and well, the list order is mostly arbitrary, but...
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, as we said before, I think we said before we even started, you can't honestly say for some things that it's better than another.
Yeah, I mean...
I can't argue...
You could argue that sliced bread is better than the Franco-Prussian War, if that were the case.
Well, yeah, but it's more like comparing but a bap to, bread.
Yeah.
Well, just
Seb says
bread.
It's good.
I mean, if it's your thing, both are okay and they're both edible, but you might prefer one over the other.
Yeah. Okay. So, who wants to go first with their number 10?
Well, I think I'll start. I'll get the ball rolling.
Okay. Let's try not to take too long on these because we got 30 games to get through.
Okay. Well, let's start this off with the Handsome Collection for Borderlands. Which it consists of Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel.
Oh,
complete with all its
sorry,
its
Sam.
DLC.
Before you go on, I just want to go over the ground rules we agreed upon for the benefit of the audience. 1 game per franchise, because otherwise, Like a Dragon Studio would be most of my list.
Ryo Kagoto Studio, you mean?
Yeah, that. But I said it in English. And also, remasters do not count unless they added something substantial for the remaster. Unless it was a substantially different game for any reason.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, I'm throwing my hat in at first, and I know this is could be seen as a port or a remaster, but the Borderlands Handsome Collection, and the reason I'm counting this gen is because the DLC honestly added so much more than what the PS3 version added. With it specifically with its DLC it released last year to connect it to Borderlands 3, which I thought was pretty funny, along with the Tiny Tina DLC, where it's basically a first-person shooter in a Dungeons and Dragons rule thing with the Borderlands humor.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And the reason I'd consider it the way one of my favorites is because Borderlands always brought the best out of, basically made the looter shooter genre a big deal.
Yeah.
With but Borderlands 1's problem was always that its story was kind of naff. its characters were forgettable, and the fact that its main villain is killed in 15 seconds in the last boss fight that even Gearbox themselves said was disappointing. Borderlands 2 literally gives us one of the best villains in video game history in Handsome Jack. I seriously recommend if you just go on YouTube and look up the best of Handsome Jack, you'll see why people both love and hate him as a character. Added more character to the actual characters you were playing as well as characters from the previous games. And its DLC actually felt like it was worth it because they were like their own little games that you paid a little extra for.
Yeah.
And the pre-sequel was never well received on the PS3, which is why it never sold well. But the PS4 version basically forced you to have the game as well, which sounds bad until you realise it's really not that bad of a game because now you've got a chance to play it the way they intended it to be played. So for basically improving everything that was wrong with the first game and adding so much more that they didn't need to add for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, you know the guy who voices Hercules in it as a foul-mouthed gun nut who just loves explosions and violence?
Seems appropriate somehow.
And he sounds just like Hercule. My favorite thing is him getting an explosive barrel and goes, "When God closes a door, I blow it the fuck up."
Ah!
And I can't imagine it in anything but Hercule screaming that. Also, he owns his own guns that you can get in the game that explode when you throw them.
Nice.
It just sounds right. So yeah, that's my game. The Handsome Collection, for just being, it may be a port in some cases, but it does so much different and makes it so definitive. I think it counts.
Jack's here. Hey, Jack. We are listing off our 10 best games of this console generation in order of preference, or as close to it as we can. Right, and Sam's number 10 was Borderlands The Handsome Collection, wasn't it?
Nicole agrees, so
Cool.
whichever of you ladies wants to go next.
Ian, why don't you give me your number 10 next?
Okay. My number 10 is Life is Strange.
Now, I can agree with this one.
Right, so
Right.
tell us what you like about it.
What I love most about it is that you're playing the part as like a vulnerable person, or starts off as vulnerable, but then gets these strange powers.
Right.
And I mean, she's not like a superhero or a gun-toting hero like you find in other games. She's just a regular person, except
Yeah.
she's been given these powers.
There's a relatability to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Apart from the one line where she says that that Final Fantasy movie was actually good. That's the one thing I will never agree with in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Sorry, I just had to throw that in.
yeah. What I love most about it is that you're kind of taken away from like all the fantasy elements and then put in like a real world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in some ways, it's kind of nostalgic because she's a college student, and it kind of takes you back to that those carefree days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will admit I did get those vibes.
Yeah, and not only that, it also introduced us to some memorable characters as well.
Yeah.
And,
Including, and I'm just going to throw this one out there to plug our stream where we streamed the game and we just Drill Sergeant from Full Metal Jacket because it just felt appropriate.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I think it's a beautifully written story, and
It is.
you're really connected with the characters as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget the choices.
Yeah, the choices.
Oh, by
Which
the
goes
way,
into the writing.
if any of our games is also on someone else's list, this is where we can talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, great story, great characters we can just connect with. Others we don't connect with because we hate them.
But it's never like it's always the intentional kind of hating the characters, though, isn't it? That
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will be honest. I didn't like Chloe's stepdad to begin with, and I know that was the point.
yeah, you're
We
not
weren't
supposed
supposed to
to.
like him until the end, until the last little bits. I mean, me and Ian, we ripped him a new asshole so many times in the story just for a laugh. But he, they did redeem some characters. I mean, hell, they even made one of her classmates, some kind of sympathetic.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
And of course, there's Warren.
We do not speak of Warren and the internet's love of him.
I hate that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
So yeah, Life is Strange. It was a great game. I remember playing it. It didn't
And I
make
don't
my
know
list,
anyone
but...
who hasn't. I don't know anyone who hasn't chosen the pro-lesbian ending.
Well, that was my ending.
That
Fuck
was my
Arcadia
ending
Bay.
too. Fuck it. Yeah, that's what I was saying throughout the entire thing. Fuck Arcadia Bay.
Yeah, fuck the Prescott family.
Fuck them. Lesbian love for life.
And you will find the further adventures of Chloe and Max in comic book form.
Oh,
Nice.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
You're serious. Awesome.
I am serious.
Okay.
That's all I need to know that my choices were right.
Okay. Then my number 10. Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Now, Metal Gear Solid 5 is not all it could have been, for several reasons, but it is the pinnacle of gameplay in the series, if somewhat lacking compared to usual in the story department. I mean,
I'll just say that can I just interject and say probably that most of the problems can be summed up by something that rhymes with "Oh Army."
yes, Konami is Konami, and Konami is the worst, to quote the greatest showman in games media, Jim Sterling. Right. Before I get sliced bread is better than the Franco-Prussian War, says Seb. That war generated decades of animosity between France and Germany and a sense of French irredentism that made World War One inevitable. Well, yes, that is a valid point. What you do? Have you said squadrons yet? I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to say destroy all humans 2020, in my opinion. Guys, well, that's cool. That's not on my list. But yeah, nice one. Right, so Metal Gear Solid 5. The gameplay was the best a Metal Gear Solid game has ever been, although it did come at the expense, well, not necessarily, but the story wasn't so good.
Can I just say that the only cringy bits to me were Huey?
Yeah, well, not even that. It's not even the story that was bad. It was the presentation of the story that I didn't really like so much. So much of it was relegated to those cassette tapes that you could only listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember those cassette tapes.
Yeah. And, well, what cutscenes we did get were really good, but, like, I want hour-long cutscenes out of a Kojima game. I almost put Death Stranding here. But because it was.
We also put the fact that the game also answered one of the longest plot holes in video game history.
What's that?
Basically, one of the longest plot holes was how can Solid Snake in the first game have basically blown up Big Boss with a rocket launcher, and then a few years later he's just completely fine.
Yeah, it does. It does quite admirably fill in that plot hole.
Yeah.
But yeah. Also, no way to get quiet back was a bit of a.
Actually, there is. I'm just going to fix that and tell you that they fixed that.
Oh, they fixed that. So wait,
you just had to redo the mission a few more times, and then she'd just rejoin.
Oh, okay, cool.
There'd be no story reason, but you'd get her back.
Ah, good, because she was the most useful companion.
I will be honest, Quiet was a brilliant addition to the game.
I mean, I love the dog, but, Quiet's more useful.
Yeah, I love DD as well, but, Quiet, not just I know the outfit caused a lot of controversy, but let's face it, the whole loving the boss thing has actually been a theme in Metal Gear for a very long time.
Yeah.
The whole falling in love with the boss in some way. I mean, that's basically Ocelot.
Yeah. And she breathes through her skin, you see.
Yeah.
Because that's not ridiculous and a blatantly transparent reason to want to dress someone skimpily. We see
Look, just
you,
let people
Kojima.
make the characters the way they want to at this point.
Right. At any rate, yeah.
Yeah.
My number
Also,
10.
was it me or was Ocelot a lot more American this time round?
Yeah, he was very spaghetti western, which I guess
He
is
was very
fitting.
John Wayne.
Yeah, which I guess is fitting for the character he eventually becomes. But
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, saddle up, pilgrims.
All right. So, anyone's number 9. Whoever wants to go first.
Let's see. Well, let's see. My number 9. I'm just going to go with Animal Crossing.
It's a very compelling time sink. What else needs to be said?
All that really needs to be said is that it's for what it is. We're living in an era where video games don't necessarily. We grew well. Trying to think of a way to put this. We grew up in an era where you had a video game and then you finished it. And if you were lucky, there was a few extra little bits at the end to maybe get you a little bit of an extra ending, or maybe a few things to get you an alternative.
Yeah.
But now we live in the era where you have games that don't end. I think Skyrim's the best example of that. There is a main story, but the game is never really, for a lot of people, about the story.
Yeah.
And for Animal Crossing, there is no major objective. There's a lot of little tasks here and there to improve your area, but really, it's just killing time. But it's doing it in a fun way, and they've done it enough where they've made a load of characters iconic. I mean, let's face it, can you really think of Animal Crossing without Isabelle?
Nope.
Nope.
Or Tom Nook.
Yeah, Tom Nook is a lot of things.
For the longest time, when the lead up to the release was happening, I thought Tom Nook was some politician people didn't like.
But then, I mean, before him, all you really had was Mr. Rossetti.
Oh, yeah.
He was like the only real iconic thing there, and then suddenly now you've got loads more characters, and that's the thing. You've got all these different villagers with all their different personalities, their different houses, and with us going into the online world and everything, and all the little updates like the Halloween update that's going on right now.
Yeah.
We should do a Halloween stream with Animal Crossing.
Oh yes.
Oh.
I mean, it's just all in good fun. Although my favourite villager is always going to be Anka.
If I can get a new capture card by the end of the month, I'll do that.
Because I got a really cool Halloween costume.
Nice. Right.
So yeah, Animal Crossing. There's nothing that needs to be said. It's just it's good for what it is.
Yeah.
It does nothing offensive and nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And it's just fun, Nicole.
And you can lose endless hours to it.
Oh, you can.
Yeah.
It's literally the first thing I bought when I bought the Switch.
Yeah. Okay. So, Ian, your number 9, please.
My number 9 is Lego Dimensions.
Oh, I have not played that. Do tell.
Right. Well, you have all these different Lego games.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of hard for me to choose all of them, so I had to pick what I would call the ultimate Lego game.
Ah, interesting.
Which is just basically a Lego game, but with many different franchises crammed into one.
Ah.
So it's like different characters meeting each other, like Batman meets Gandalf.
Yeah.
And yeah, so but there is a big plot to it. Like this guy, voiced by Gary Oldman, is trying to take over like the different dimensions, and you and Batman, Gandalf, and Wildstyle team up together to stop him by jumping through different dimensions, different franchises to put a stop to his evil deeds.
Sounds fun.
Keep in mind, one of the few things they had was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, in phase
That
2.
was a weird thing to see.
Yeah.
Wasn't Doctor Who in that as well?
Oh yeah. Peter Capaldi.
Yeah.
Also, the Portal, the girl from Portal.
Yeah.
Uh,
The Gremlins.
sounds
Beetlejuice.
like a riot.
Yeah, it's like
I mean, you had to buy the extra. The only downside was you had to buy the extra sets to like have the characters.
It's just like actual
Yeah.
Lego, really, isn't it?
Yeah, but the upside to it is that you can get yourself rare minifigs.
Ah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I never owned the game, but I do have a Sonic Lego minifig.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so
I-
so yeah, you got all these different franchises, and the wonderful thing about it is that they actually got some of the original voice actors for these characters to play these characters.
Wow.
Like in the Back to the Future world, you have Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox reprising their roles.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's an example. And then, sadly, it's the last of the toy box games.
Ah.
Yeah, they were planning on doing a phase 3, but it got cancelled because everyone thought the toy box games is a dying art.
Ah.
When really there was only just like 3 of them. There's Disney Infinity and Skylanders.
Damn. Well,
But had Phase 3 continued, we would have got. The franchises they said they were thinking of getting are Minecraft, the Ninjago movie, and Mega Man.
oh, that would have been epic.
Mega Man is one of those things I think would be built for Lego, considering that how Mario is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So. Yeah. So. Yeah. So to me, Lego Dimensions is the ultimate Lego game, and
Excellent.
yeah, that is my number 9.
A worthy inclusion. My number 9, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
All right.
And remember, that's one entry per franchise. So Fallen Order narrowly beating out Squadrons for being the VR Starfighter game I actually wanted VR for in the first place. But Fallen Order is like a perfect marriage of Souls-like and exploration adventure that lets you feel powerful while still being challenged, and it has a decent story as well. Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, to be concise, that would be why I like it. The story was good. I liked the characters. Saber combat was very well done, and something it has that something like The Force Unleashed didn't, that is such a small thing, but I really missed it, is the ability to turn your lightsaber on and off at will. I don't know why. I really like being able to do that.
Yeah.
And you can also, like, it is completely possible to beat a load of stormtroopers without actually using a lightsaber, which is a nice challenge to be able to set yourself. But, yeah. It's like a cross between Dark Souls and Uncharted, but in the Star Wars universe. Story's pretty good. Most of the characters are original, but there are a couple of cameos. So yeah, that's my number 9. I'm going to try and keep these as concise as possible, because we've got a lot to get through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well then.
Oh, Jack says my number 9 will be the Avengers game. I forgot that had come out.
Yeah. I'm going to go my number 8, and I don't know how everyone else is going to feel about this. I'm choosing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
That is also on my list.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, okay. Well, we can talk about Kakarot for a bit then. And that'll be the number
Kakarot
5, I
is
believe,
the real
crossed off.
name of Goku.
Yes. Well, except for at the Broly movie where he asks to be called Kakarot.
Yeah. Okay, so that was my number 5. So.
Okay, well, we'll skip you when it comes to 5 then.
Yeah. All right. So,
Okay,
Sam, what do you like about Kakarot?
I'm just gonna. the thing I like about Kakarot, oddly enough, is not to do with its gameplay, which sounds like a bad thing to say, really, but it's because one of my major problems with the original Dragon Ball Z, because this just follows Dragon Ball Z the same way every other game has,
Yeah.
but it does add a little bit. It does acknowledge that Dragon Ball existed.
Yes, this is
So,
true.
seeing Emperor Pilaf around and seeing Launch and seeing, actually fighting dinosaurs, which, just disappeared
This
for
is a
some reason.
really there's a lot of love gone into crafting that world, and that's
Oh,
one of the things
it's
I like
it's
about
not
it.
just it's not just that. It's the weird connections as well. One of the small things I like is that you've got the social thing. I'm almost calling it a social link thing. I know that's a completely different
Yeah,
franchise, but
that's Persona.
yeah, there's like a whole social thing going on with the characters, and if you stick certain characters next to each other, they have little dialogues. And my personal favorite,
Are you talking about
like,
Kakarot? Yes, we are, Seb.
yeah, my personal favorite was getting Android 17, 18, and 8, and sticking them all in one thing together, and just having the little conversation where Android 17 goes, "So are you a man or an android?" And he just mentions and then Android 8 just mentions he's an android and he doesn't like violence or fighting really, and Android 16 just goes, "On that we both agree."
Yeah,
And I just think that but my personal favorite will always be getting all the members of the Ginyu Force, including the brand new character just that's been introduced for this one, and sticking them together, and just getting them all do the call, and the new one just really hating the Ginyu Force in general.
yeah, Bonyo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
she's
yeah, it's
fun.
all that. It's the small little thing. It's the small little things
So
that you
many
get into.
little
Like
things to love about it.
the side quests. The
Yeah,
side quests are wonderful. The DLC, the first DLC, yes, was kind of shit if you really look at it as its own thing.
it left a little to be desired, didn't it?
It's literally just a training thing. It's literally just a training thing. I mean, granted,
It does
by the
allow you
time I
to
got,
grind to level 250 very quickly and break the rest of the game should you so
oh
choose.
god, oh god, yeah, I was going into a battle with, I went into a battle with Frieza with Super Saiyan God.
Yeah. And you're going to
Needless
be
to
doing
say,
that again pretty soon.
well, when my PS4 comes back, I'll probably, by the time that my PS4 comes back, they'll probably have released DLC 2, which is, they've promised will fix everything wrong with it. But I
When
think
does
what we really
DLC
need to talk
2
about
come
is,
out?
I don't know. They've just mentioned that it's going to have Golden Freezer, so that's a thing.
I'll
But
look forward to that.
one of the things I really like, apart from just the fact you can go around the world and see the little references
That
to
is
just Dragon Ball in general.
the thing I like. It is a version of the Dragon Ball game I always wanted, and it. I just love
I think it's
flying
the I
around and
think it's the
driving around that world.
I think
You,
I think it's I think it's the Dragon Ball game we all wanted, but we never knew that we wanted it.
I knew I
We never
wanted it.
actually knew. Not like this though. We didn't real well. Keep in mind we're so used to games being one genre, but Dragon Ball. I think it's generous to call Dragon Ball Z Kakarot a fighting game,
It's not. It's an
an
action
RPG.
RPG.
I think it goes beyond that. I don't even think it's that. I think that's one of its components. I
Yeah.
think Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is a lot of things, and I don't think it can be designed into one genre because there's things there for just the fans to just faff about with. I mean, with the side quests, the characters, and everything else. There's the RPG element. There's the action RPG elements. Then there's all of the other small little things you do, like the collecting shit, like the Z orbs.
Yeah.
Which, granted, I did use the Dragon Balls so much, and I did like the little extra bit where you can resurrect dead characters and you just keep them around, like bringing back Ginyu, bringing back the entire Ginyu Force, bringing back Nappa,
Yeah.
and bringing back King Cold and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's small and ridiculous, but I liked that stuff.
Yeah. So yeah. Um. Well, like I said, it is a version of the game I always wanted, and I love flying around that world, and even driving around it is fun. Like,
I apologize.
Yeah. We don't yet have a firm date for DLC 2, but yeah.
Yeah, but so far, even without it, I think we should really. I don't think DLC should be added into the equation so
Seb says
much. I think
the advertising really pushed this as the ultimate Dragon Ball experience. Would you say it lived up to the hype? I would.
I think another ground rule should put in is that the game has to be able to stand in its vanilla state.
Yeah.
I mean, DLC
Well,
is
all
cool,
of the
but
games on these lists can, I think.
yeah, I'm just saying that while we mention DLC, the judgment is made about the game without the DLC as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 8.
Right, and it was my number 5. So my number 8. Or Ian, have you done your number 8 yet?
No,
Yeah.
Ian's next.
Ian, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Ah, I missed that one.
I haven't played that. Sorry.
Yeah, so Ian, go ahead and tell us why you like it.
I love it because, I just love how, oh my god, I just love the story, the big open world, the environment that was built into it, like the forest, the deserts, the snowy mountains. There's so much to explore. There's so many little things you can pick up on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus I'm always a sucker for games set in the Old West.
Oh, yeah. Yeehaw Skyrim, I've heard it called.
Yeah.
Not an inaccurate observation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I love about it is that it's despite it being Red Dead Redemption. Well, despite it being called Red Dead Redemption 2, it's actually the prequel to the previous game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just reminds me of that one South Park episode where nobody was doing anything because they were too busy playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
And the wonderful thing about it is that it did take the original story. It added so much more to the original storyline.
Oh, good. I did eventually finish Red Dead Redemption 1, but it took me over a year because I would play it for a long time and then I'd put it down and not pick it up again for ages.
Yeah.
But I did eventually finish it and it was amazing. But that's the first one. I'm given to understand the second one is actually better.
It is way better.
Yeah.
I mean, I did like the first one, but the second game added so much more.
Good.
Yeah.
Well,
and, there are lots of references and stuff thrown in there for as like callbacks to the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So later on in the game, much further on in the game, you can explore the different locations that were in the first game.
Yeah.
In HD. But
Cool.
the only place you can't explore is Mexico.
Yeah.
Which was a shame.
Ah, right. Well, it sounds... I'm sure it's very good, and I do regret not playing it. I'll pick it up when it goes on sale at some point. Yeah.
Just make sure you got plenty of space on your console.
Oh, I have heard, yes. It's what, 100 gigs or something?
It will eat everything.
But
it's worth it.
Yeah. Alright, so my number 8, Simpsons reference, is...
Yeah, I kind of figured and rolled my eye.
The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
It doesn't have... Is that on anyone else's list, or is that just me? Okay.
Just you.
It's lower on the list than I thought it would be, because it doesn't have as much replay value as I'd like. I almost put Hyrule Warriors here for that reason, because one per franchise. But that initial sense of exploration and discovery when you first play it is brilliant. I loved exploring and discovering that version of Hyrule, going through all of the shrines. There's a bit where if you stand on the edge of a bridge, someone will actually try and talk you out of jumping off it, because they think you're trying to commit suicide. I thought that was fun. Right, and that's just one of my first memories playing the game. If you can think of anything that you could possibly do, this game has programmed it in. Like, you can land directly on a horse's back. And this trick, I played through this game for over 200 hours, and I never thought to try this, but apparently it works. If you're having trouble with a big monster, you can use the stasis spell on, like, a boulder and whack it a bunch of times so that it will catapult off when the spell lets up, and then climb onto it to escape. And you can just, like, grab the side of the boulder, and then when it launches off, you go with it. And it's like, I never would have thought to try that, but if you do think to try it, it will probably... The developers probably thought of it and put it in the game. It is that thorough. And the world is massive, which on first playthrough is great because explore, discover, but on all subsequent times I've tried to get into it. Like, the first time, the massive open world was a fun thing to explore. The second time, it's space between stuff I'm trying to get to, and then it becomes a bit frustrating.
Sounds about like living up here in Scotland.
Yeah, and so... I want a game where you can land directly on a horse's back, then go, oh, and grab your crotch in pain. That might be Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know. Can you do that, Varian? That's what Seb asked. But, yeah, because of that lack of replay value, or the fact that I've not been able to get back into it since playing it the once, I'm putting it quite low on my list. But it is still on there. It's a really good game. And especially if you haven't played it, I think you definitely should give it a try. Unfortunately, there's the rub. Nintendo never lowers their prices. Yeah. I mean, I think it's worth 50 quid, but I wouldn't pay 50 quid for it again. I mean, I have actually paid 50 quid for it twice, because I got it on the Wii U and then the Switch. So, I probably wouldn't again.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, so my number 8 is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Who wants to go with their number 7 first? I believe it's your turn, Sam.
Okay, this one will be an interesting one for a lot of you who know the games I like.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw my hat up there and say Fire Emblem Warriors.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so if you know me, you know I love the Warriors games. I love Omega Force's Warriors games. I know they're repetitive. I know they're simple. They're very pick up and play games, to be honest. Though Fire Emblem Warriors honestly only beats Hyrule Warriors by a few small things. While they operate the same way, there's a few small different slice of life things that just make the game a lot more playable, like its automatic pickup and stuff. But it's also the fact that if you've played Fire Emblem doesn't get a lot of love in this country, in the West, and when it does, unfortunately, Nintendo Treehouse can't be trusted to do an accurate translation of it. I mean, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Houses is still slightly butchered thanks to them, to the point where two characters' entire personalities have changed, and less said about what they did to Fire Emblem Awakening, the better.
Oh,
But
Jack
this
says
is the
his
one
number
game
8
where
is Spider-Man 2018.
they haven't hurt the story so much. They haven't hurt the characters or the story as much as they have in other games. And while the story isn't great, the new characters aren't that interesting. They bring a load of the old other characters from all the other parts of the franchise, because much like Final Fantasy, each game happens to have a different cast.
Yeah.
And they all work. There's actually strategy to use it. Unlike something like, say, Dynasty Warriors, where I could pick anyone I want, and it'll just work the way I want it to. They actually put some thought into the way you do duels and fights with other characters, like having certain characters' fighting styles be weak to other styles, so you had to actually alter things. And instead of having one character, you have 4 characters going in at once. And at the beginning of the battle, and even in the middle of it, you can actually decide which part of the battlefield they're going to go to, unlike in the other games, like Hyrule Warriors, where your teammates just go to wherever their AI wants them to.
Yeah.
Like if you need like someone to guard a base or something while you take the others, or you want them to like fight a certain enemy, you can just decide, right, you go here, you go here, you go to support them.
Right.
So there's a lot more thought process going into the battles than there is in any other. And that's something I like in a series where the last time they tried anything original was Dynasty Warriors 9, and
And
we
we
all
all
know
know
how
how
bad
that
that
went.
went.
Oh, we
Yeah,
Jinx.
yeah. Jinx, Ollie, you owe me a Coke.
Okay, I will have one sent to you because I still Jim Sterling apparently still remembers what they did to Zhang He.
Yeah, I was going to use Zhong He as an example of a character that I could just pick up at any point, and no matter what weapon style he has, by the laws of Dynasty Warriors pick up and play style, I'm going to know instantly how to play him. But in this one, I could say pick Roy or pick Marth, and they're going to work completely different to say if I picked Tarja or Carmilla, whose entire gaming style is riding a fucking dragon.
Okay, so they've all got distinct play styles.
Well, there's few distinct playstyles, but it's better than the Dynasty Warriors. What the only thing that distinguishes the characters are what weapon they have.
Right. Okay. All right then.
You know, you can have you have magic users, you have your dragon users, you have your archers, you have your spearmen, and you have your sword wielders. So you know, there's a whole rock paper scissors Jean Ken Po thing going on.
All right. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to hurry along, and we're gonna have to try and be concise because we're 40 minutes in, and I'd like to get this done in one sitting. I don't think this is the kind of thing for 2 parts.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'll try and speed up my next ones then.
Okay. Well, I will too. Ian, what is your number 7? Jack says
My
his
number
is
7.
Final Fantasy VII Remake. See what I did there? I do see what you did there. Yeah. Okay.
Well, my number 7 is Spider-Man.
Ah, it's on my list as well. It's a bit higher on my list.
Yeah.
Well, that's taken one off the off. That's taken one off.
That was
so,
my number
yeah.
3. Yeah.
Well, I didn't put any of mine in like a proper order. I just just named some.
That's fair enough.
All right. So, Ian, what do we like most about Spider-Man PS4?
What I love about Spider-Man PS4 is that it is done with so much love and care by people who are genuine fans of Spider-Man. And it gives you like the most wonderful feeling of like being Spider-Man, swinging all over New York, taking out the bad guys, and
who clearly really love Spider-Man. And I, to this day, because it was on PlayStation Now until recently, so I could play it without the jet engine effect. To this day, I sometimes fire the game up to just swing around New York for a bit.
Yeah.
Like there is no traversal in any video game that I think is more enjoyable than Spider-Man PS4's web slinging mechanic.
Yeah. And I also love like
Jack wants to know if we're doing ascending order or descending. Order from saving the best for last, whichever one that goes into. Oh, what mind you, the order's pretty arbitrary. They're all really good.
Yeah. And yeah, so I love like the story that goes along with it. Like I love the choice of villains they put in it. They just work with the story, and of course, I didn't enjoy so much the Mary Jane missions, obviously.
Yeah, well, it's not perfect, but it is one of the few games I 100%ed without ever feeling, without ever feeling fatigued by it.
Yeah. And I also loved like the different costumes as well.
Yeah,
I remember when you weren't doing so well at the beginning, and you basically, in your Tony Stark persona, took away the Spider-Man suit and gave yourself the tracksuit.
Yeah.
But I think the best suit has got to be the Sam Raimi Spider-Man suit.
Yeah, that's my favourite one as well.
Yeah. You know, nostalgia.
Yeah. I love those movies.
And I'm looking forward to the sequel as well, Miles Morales.
Yep, I am also.
They're going to do a remaster of the Spider-Man PS4. But
nice.
The biggest difference is they're redesigning Peter Parker to look like Tom Holland.
I don't understand why they're doing that, because this isn't the MCU Spider-Man. It's a
I know,
different Spider-Man.
My thoughts exactly. I mean, I love Tom Holland. He's a great Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
this isn't the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
No, and this is the Yuri Lowenthal Spider-Man.
Yeah, this
And
is Yuri Lorenthal's time.
yeah, who, by the way, is one of the best voice actors in the business, and you can see it
definitely.
here.
Yeah, and well, yeah, that's. I guess that's pretty much all I've got to
Yeah,
say about it.
the story is really good. You know what the story is going to be right from the get-go because he's working under Otto Octavius, but they tell it really well. The characters are all good, even the supporting cast. It's just a really good story in a really well-made game. That Yuri Lowenthal, who can say anything? I get it. I get it. Right, so yeah, Spider-Man PS4. Is it my turn or?
Yeah,
it's your turn.
Okay, what number were we on? Right,
I think we're on
okay, 7. My number 7 is Final Fantasy 15.
Okay.
There is plenty of valid criticism of this game, but it was the first Final Fantasy game to actually feel like a Final Fantasy game to me since probably about 10. And before you say it, I did love Final Fantasy VII Remake, and in many ways it is a more polished game than this one. However, I don't really like what I suspect 7 Remake is trying to do narratively, and I'm going to have to reserve judgment on the second one. And because, well, I don't want to go on for too long about 7 Remake, but I don't think it's going to pay the proper respect to what the themes of 7 were and what they meant to the creator at the time. And the fact that it seems to be rewriting, what's his name, Nomura, an excuse to do whatever he wants with it, is a kind of arrogance that I just don't like, but I'm also here for because I want to see where it's going. But that does leave me putting 15 ahead of it because the story wasn't as good, but it was at least well told, and the world was a fun place to explore. It was such a huge game. I wish they'd finished all the DLC. This was the moment for me. I'd lost about 300 hours to this, and it's like when I bought Final Fantasy 15, I was, well, without wishing to sound corny, I felt like Final Fantasy was back, as it were.
Yeah. And what I loved about 15 was how inclusive it was. So you don't have to have been a Final Fantasy fan to enjoy it.
No, not at all. But if you are, there's so much that's there that's really great, like little nods to the fandom. Like you can use the soundtrack from previous games, and
where you get the flying car and use any of the airship themes.
Oh yeah, Hildegard all the way for me.
On 15.
Yeah, I love like driving around in the car and just playing the Final Fantasy VII World Map theme.
Yeah, so good.
That is gorgeous. Yeah.
And well, speaking of, the game is visually very impressive. I mean,
wonderful.
I haven't fired it up in a while, but it looks amazing. Yeah. The artistic direction was through the roof this time. They really hit it out of the park. Yeah. So it narrowly beats out Final Fantasy VII Remake for narrative reasons.
Yeah.
For me. So yeah, that's my number 7.
Okay.
Was that on either of your lists?
No.
No, but I enjoyed talking about it.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay, so I guess it's on my number 6.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Right, my number 6 is...
Did you do your number 7?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Okay, my number 6 is Digimon Cyber Sleuth Complete on the Switch.
Okay.
Interesting.
Now I know what people are gonna say, but you can get it cheaper on the PS4. What's really the difference? Well, apart from the fact that it's both versions of the game, both games, which one's happening at the same time as the other, but they're completely different stories. It's just that one game happens to use different Digimon. It works as a turn-based RPG thing, but you collect Digimon, but it's kind of like Pokemon. Well, it plays like Pokemon in that you have the random battles and you run into different Digimon. Sorry. But when you see them, a percentage bar goes up, and when that bar goes to 100, you can literally just summon them, so you don't need to catch them or weaken them. And if you evolve them, you can devolve them as well, so you can make your own teams up. But the reason I chose the Switch version is because both versions of the game... She's going to keep doing this.
Seb wants to know if Digimon are the champions. Apparently, so saith the theme song.
Well, anyway, one of the reasons it's good... Sorry, I need to stay away from the screaming. One of the best things about it is that all the characters that were introduced, all the Digimon that were introduced in the sequel, are all added into the original version as well. And you can transfer them between the games.
Yeah. Oh, that's
the stories. Cool. The stories stand. Well, for example, there's a certain team that I use specifically due to their elemental abilities in the second game, but they're not available in the first game because that particular line of evolution wasn't available. The only other difference is that they censored one of the Digimon in the silliest way, because in the PS4 version she looks like a nun and uses crucifixes for guns. So in this one they've changed her so she's got a rabbit hood on instead of a nun headdress, and has got something else instead of crucifix guns.
Yeah.
They've also changed her name slightly, so there's that. But I still say that one change isn't enough to say that the game isn't great. It's still fun. It still has a large amount of Digimon. All of them, unlike Pokemon, they all have their own individual movements for every move they have.
Yeah.
And they all follow you on the map as well. So if you have a team of 3, they'll just follow you around the map. So it's a small feature. It's a small feature, but these are the small things that I think puts it above, say, any of the recent Pokemon games. The problem I'd give with it is that getting the Switch version is annoying to get. Is annoying since I was able to get mine for 30 quid, but finding a copy is still pretty hard.
Right.
But it's something, if you like turn-based RPGs and you're a fan of, say, the Shin Megami Tensei or Final Fantasy series and Pokemon, it's kind of got all of those in one. And effectively, the Cyber Sleuth collection is 2 games in one.
Right.
So it works out.
Okay, cool.
So, Ian?
You're number 6.
Well, I'm going to have to hurry this along because I think my dinner will be ready any minute.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one on the list is the Sega Mega Drive Classics.
Ah. Cool. Right, why don't you just say a few words?
I streamed that. I think you streamed that with me, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh God, was that the stream where we sat there doing the '90s references because the main menu was literally a kid's bedroom in the '90s?
Yeah.
Normally, I think ports and remasters are against the rules, but since it's a collection of many different games, I'll allow it.
Okay.
Plus, effort really went into that menu.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what I love about this one is that it does what the what do you call it? The new Mega Drive thing.
Yeah.
The Mega Genesis Mini.
That's it. Yeah. It does what the Genesis Mini doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't screw up.
Ha.
And yes, and what I love about it is mainly for like the nostalgia of it and being able to play those old games and to play them in this like old bedroom that's like covered in like posters from like different like Sega games.
Yeah, it's good set
Let's not forget
dressing.
that the way you select the games is by literally picking them up off the shelf.
Yes, so it gives you that nice throwback to the simple times.
Can I just say that I love the Mega Drive cases? I know it's a silly thing to have a preference for cases, but I just love them. They're like modified VCR cases.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's quite a lot of games on there. I mean, I can't remember every single one from the top of my head, but I can name a few. Like there's the Sonic games,
Yeah.
and there's Streets of Rage.
Kid Chameleon, I
Yeah.
remember that being one of them.
Oh yeah, and Fantasy Star.
Yeah. An excuse to play old favourites again. Who can argue with that?
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I'll say it again, in a '90s themed bedroom.
Oh, brilliant.
It's wonderful.
So
I mean,
if you've never seen it, I recommend you look up the stream that me and Ian did, because oh god, we were living the moment.
yeah, we were loving it.
Yeah, I'll have a look because I'm
Yeah,
curious.
please do. It's wonderful. I mean, ignore our inane commentary if you have to, but just please accept the whole.
Oh, and
Accept the posters and everything, even the old CRT TV.
oh,
Yeah.
and let us know in the comments if you'd like me to do another stream of that.
Yes.
Well, I said,
Hello, Nicole.
Nicole's just given her endorsement.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
that's my number 6.
Okay, is it my turn?
Yes,
Ollie,
it
it is your turn.
Right. My number 6 is Super Mario Odyssey. I'll keep it brief. It's the first game I played on the Switch, and honestly, some of the most fun I've had with it. Animal Crossing is a compelling time sink, and Smash was great as ever, but Odyssey was something I didn't know I needed until I got it.
I will give this credit for something I haven't actually played. I do like that they've introduced new little villains, even if they're only mini bosses.
Yeah, the Bowser kids. I still haven't.
No, not the Bowser kids. Those rabbit people.
Oh yeah, the rabbit people. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they were the rabbit people. I don't know why I said Bowser kids. It's been a while since I played it.
The Koopa kids have been around for a long time.
Yeah, but I still haven't done like the ultimate final boss with them because it's very difficult. But I'll get
Although
them.
I also like the little thing if you have Mario wear the wedding dress and then go to fight Bowser and he makes comments about it.
Yeah.
That he thinks you're looking pretty good.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, if you wear a dress of any kind, like if you wear the female rabbit's outfit or if you wear the bride outfit or something, they're just gonna comment on it, and Bowser literally stops his rant just to say how good you look.
Yeah, and also if you go to Luigi while wearing the wedding dress, he'll say, "Oh, are you getting married? Why didn't you invite me?" Like, doesn't even mention the fact that Mario's wearing a dress. Luigi is inclusive as fuck.
but when Bowser says you look good, why has no one said this is sexual harassment, Bowser, and I don't have to take it?
Well, I don't think the guy who grabbed him by the tail all those times gets to say that.
Yeah, no, he just has to live with Bowsette being a thing.
Yeah. Right, okay, right, my number 6 is Super Mario Odyssey. The level design is brilliant. The soundtrack is something else. There's even the New Donk City, which is like a real world level, has a very distinct Mario charm. Although it does raise the question of what the hell is Mario, because he's not human by the look of that.
Just short.
Yeah, is he some sort of eldritch elder god or something?
No, he's just a short, fat person.
Ah, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah. Mario Odyssey, really good. Pick it up if you haven't.
Okay. Now to my number 5. Oh boy.
Bravo, number 5.
Okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Yakuza Kiwami.
Ah, your entry is Kiwami. Interesting. Go on.
Now, here's the thing. I'm saying this as someone who owns copies of both the original Yakuza when it first came out on the PlayStation 2, complete with Mark Hamill as Majima, but also the Kiwami version, so I know the differences. And it's very few times I can say this is the way a remake has to be. I can only honestly say that about things like Resident Evil, to be honest. But with Kiwami, not only does it bring all the improvements that the last 10 years or so have brought with it with the other games on the PS3 and the Dragon engine, it improves on it by getting Majima, who became a fan favorite, and adding, the Majima Everywhere thing. It's the fact that they integrate it into the already existing story, because originally Majima had very little to do with the original PS2 version.
Yeah.
But in this one, the Majima Everywhere, he just appears in the most ridiculous ways, whether he's cross-dressing, acting as a zombie, dressed up in his Yakuza Zero outfit, dressed as a policeman. He's trying to get Kiryu to fight him to get strong, to make himself stronger.
Yeah, and
Which
you're
is
going to
not,
take
it's
that
not.
one of two ways. You're going to go, oh, there he is again. And at some point, you're just going to go, oh, fuck off, Majima!
I will say, however, one of the when you are getting to the point where you're trying to get every single meeting with him, one of them, which requires you to go into a bowling alley, come out and pick a fight with a very specific guy that may or may not be there, just so Majima can interfere. It's very specific. It doesn't give you clues on how to do it. You have to literally look online to figure out how to get it.
Yeah. Right.
But other than that, it does a good thing it does something to grow Majima as a character. The game itself benefits from the last few years, the last decade of improvements.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's just a fun game. It does everything that the other Yakuza games did, but well, it's just the first game, but with everything that improved the later ones. I mean, I would have put Kiwami 2 on here, but honestly, Kiwami 2 feels a bit too different.
Yeah. It was the
I
new
don't know.
engine, wasn't it? That's why Kiwami 2 or 6 isn't my Yakuza entry on this list.
Yeah, honestly, I'd say because again, as a starting point to Yakuza, you can start here, but it was for me, it was a toss between this and Zero because let's be honest, the thing that leads me to Zero, and I shouldn't be saying this, but I love the Hostess Club management.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's fun.
It is, but the second game, Kiwami 2 does add it again, and it's the references to Zero that are thrown in and everything. It's just, look, it's hard to pick, but Kiwami's going on there just because, as a whole, I love it.
Yeah,
For the
I
story
absolutely
it's telling.
understand. Okay.
So yeah, that's my 5. Take it or leave it.
All right, Ian, your number 5, please.
My number 5 is Root Letter.
Root Letter. I have never heard of it. Oh, so Jack says my 5 is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. 1 entry per franchise, I'm afraid, Jack. Right. Because if it wasn't, then this list would be dominated by Yakuza. Much like the Japanese crime syndicate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
So Ian, Root Letter, tell us about it.
Root Letter. Right, picture this. A girl goes missing. She is the main character's pen pal, who we spoke to a very long time ago, and he spent many years trying to find out who she was.
Yeah.
Okay? So he travels to her hometown to pick up on clues as to where she is by asking around the place, meeting up with her old friends and trying to find out a bit more about her. But these friends are a bit secretive. Like, they're not going to openly tell you where she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has multiple endings. Like, some of them are a bit strange as to because it takes on different genres. It's like it could be like a supernatural. It could be just a regular normal ending, or it can be bittersweet. Different endings. Finding out what happened to this girl that you wrote letters to a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds really interesting. I've got to give this a look.
Yeah, it's a visual novel as well,
Ah.
but it's done in good taste.
I like how you had to qualify that. No, I believe you.
Yeah, because a lot of visual novels these days are a bit sexualized.
Yeah, kind of trashy.
Oh yes, I've seen the Switch store.
Yeah, and the thing about Root Letter is that it's been re-released as well, and because I mean, the re-release version, there's a live action bit. They've added like live action to it.
Cool.
Yeah, but from what I've heard, they said it's just the same story, just live action. So you might as well just get the original game.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a fun game, and it keeps you thinking. Yes, because it's a mystery game as well,
Yeah.
and plus there's lots to pay. Lots of it's a game where you really got to pay attention in some places. Just to get to progress. Yeah. Okay, and I'll just finish it up there because my dinner's ready.
Okay.
All right.
Right. Well, my number 5 was Kakarot.
Okay, see you guys later.
See you later.
Are you coming back?
Yeah. Well, I'll be back later.
Right. Okay. We'll keep it going until you get back, and you can rattle off the rest of yours. If
Okay.
Okay.
okay. All right.
Okay. Catch you later.
All right. See
Catch
ya.
you later.
Right. Okay. My number 5 was Kakarot, which has been covered. So Sam, your number 4, please.
Okay, my number 4, and it's sad that Ian's gone now because I would have loved to have heard his reaction to this one.
Yeah.
Valkyria Chronicles 4.
Ah, I haven't played this one yet.
I recommend. Now, if you do get this, I know I said earlier, no DLC. The game has to be judged by its vanilla build,
Yeah.
and I stand by the game can stand up on its own. However, I recommend getting some of the DLC, mainly the DLC that connects it to the first game,
Cool.
because not only will you get the characters from the first game as playable characters, including the main character's little sister, who gets a new class upgrade. The game introduces a new class called Grenadier,
Ah.
which isn't in the first game, and dear God, are they useful. Basically, the way the Valkyria Chronicles works, as you know, you have your different troops that are better for different things.
Yeah.
Each of them having different stats that work a certain way, and you happen to lead a tank that obviously, if it falls, you die.
Ah, I see.
But this is taking place at the same time as the first game, but unlike the first game where you were playing as a civilian regiment, you're playing as an actual, like, military trained group. The
Cool.
personal favourite character for me is Kai.
Right.
Basically, her story is that she's a sniper and she's very, very good at what she does.
Okay.
Her
No
brother was
spoilers, because
originally-
I still want to
Yeah.
play it.
Well, basically, she's a great sniper. She's basically a really good sniper, and she's one of the characters that's, in your team a lot. Though they also introduced the Grenadier, who's really good for, area of attack effect effects damage, which they added to the main character from the first game's little sister. If you manage to get a high enough rank in the training missions, she gets to become a playable character in the DLC and gets given the class. But there's also a DLC thing that if you finish it, lets you play as the two Valkyrias, the ones from the other side.
Cool.
And dear God, yes, they're game breaking, but the game does this wonderful thing where you cannot access the DLC until you have finished the game. Like, you can't just install the DLC and get these broken, overpowered characters in the middle of the game if you're struggling. You have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
But in the last game, you were dealing with like the army full on. This game is happening at the same time, and even things that happen in the other game do affect the game in this one. Like when they've beaten the last boss in the first game, that affects the last 20-30 minutes of the fourth game.
Right. Okay.
They also do a very good job of actually making the Valkyria a bit more sympathetic and even explain a lot better than the first game what they are and why the other side uses them the way they do.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
also the characters are really likable. Although the one thing I think some people will hate about it is that one of the charms of the original was that characters died and they were dead permanently. In this one, once you finish the game, you can resurrect characters that have died, including the ones that have died due to story progression.
Right.
Like back into your party.
Cool.
but yeah, I think it is pretty much an enhanced version of the first Valkyria Chronicles, but it does things that don't just make it easier, it makes it fairer.
That's good.
And the DLC actually, it's one of the few times where I feel DLC actually complements the game and doesn't overshadow it. Like having Squad 7 there is fun, but they don't really do much to help boost the game so much. They're just kind of there for their own sake.
Yeah.
Though the Valkyrias are still broken. I mean, I still remember the comment I got on YouTube when I used Solvaria against a load of tanks, and one guy literally said, "Holy shit! You just destroyed 3 effing tanks in one blow."
Yep, that's pretty OP. Okay, so
Yeah,
Valkyria
it was,
Chronicles 4 is good.
especially considering her class is weak against tanks.
Ah.
So that's what made it funnier, because I just lined them up in a row and just blasted 3 of them at once. So yeah, I'd say Valkyria Chronicles 4. The thing is, the PlayStation Store does put up a complete edition a lot. So if you get a chance to get the complete edition,
Get it.
just the only DLC pack I haven't gotten is the summer one because I don't care. I just wanted the stuff that gave me the characters and story.
Right.
So, but yeah, Valkyria Chronicles 4. Sorry, I've rambled on so much, but 4 is just so good in comparison to the first one, and the first one is still good.
Okay, yeah, cool. Jack says my 5 shall be God of War, which is ironic because my number 4 is God of War, Dad of Boy. Sam, you there?
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
To put it briefly, God of War 2018, or is it 2017? The PS4 God of War game was a soft reboot that takes a franchise that is still really fun, but honestly, I played through all of the God of War games recently. Like, I went on like a proper binge of the God of War games.
Which is a good thing to do.
And I realised I didn't quite remember how what's a word for this? How adolescent the game design was until Dad of Boy. Yeah, it was all just. I mean, I would be if I had to ask to defend games. If I was asked to defend games as an artistic medium, I would be frankly embarrassed to show them any other God of War game because
yeah,
God of War, it's very base.
The new one definitely feels a lot more grown up and adult about everything.
Yeah, whereas the previous ones are so much fun. They really are, but a lot of it is blood, guts, and tits for the sake of it, and a character that is an asshole because that's cathartic, apparently.
To be fair, if you've looked up ancient Greece, it's not that far off from from its art pieces and everything of how it was depicted.
Well, God of War 1, I've seen compared to a classic Greek tragedy, and it maps very closely onto that. 2 onwards, you are not playing as the good guy anymore. Like, Kratos' whole quest for vengeance against Zeus thing comes when Zeus takes his toys / life away when he can't behave himself. Like, he was conquering everything and ignored repeated warnings from Athena to back off or there would be consequences, and then gets mad when he has to suffer those consequences.
Yeah, and then spends his time getting involved in a full-on war with, the Titans.
Yeah. All that. So, with that preamble out of the way, Dad of Boy takes place an unspecified amount of time after God of War 3. We think it's at least 200 years. But it doesn't matter how long it's been. Kratos is a different man now. And I think this is the best way they could have handled that. He knows that what he did was unjustifiable, and he had no right to slaughter the Pantheon, even if they had it coming. And he knows that he's got to make a change. What you didn't
mention is that in the third game, he was literally destroying the world and watching the world be destroyed, and didn't think about it until literally right at the end, where he made that choice.
Well, he didn't care.
Well, yeah. Well, at the end, he used the blades of Olympus and just gave, according to Athena, just gave the power to the people.
Yeah. So
I think that's his turning point. I think for him.
yeah, and well, he tried to kill himself in the process, but he survived. There is actually a really good few volumes of comics that are set before Dad of Boy, and he has to fight a cult of shape shifting werewolf people. And one of the things he does every day is he goes out into the wilderness to find things that will attack him. And the challenge is that he can't fight back. And this is to teach him control. He's got to get control of his anger so that it doesn't control him. And that's a really
Well,
good character be.
Well, to be fair, again, we've had 3 games where Kratos' rage
Like he
was
is just rage
it was
personified.
it was the motivation. He was rage. He had reasons to be angry, but again, one of his abilities was Spartan rage.
Yeah, and it's still there in Data Boy, but the story is just better. It's a very
Yeah,
good. It's a
your anger
much
never
more
truly
grounded.
your anger truly never leaves you, Ollie.
It never quite goes.
It never
I
goes
know
away. You just
from
learn to
experience.
control it,
Yeah,
and I think that's what Dad of Boy does, really.
yeah, but it's not really about Kratos just on its own. Um, it's about his
Boy.
relationship with Boy, Atreus, or Loki, as it were. Spoiler alert for the end. um, and well, the relationship with Norse mythology is so good. I also like that the Midgard serpent is actually really friendly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it's, and well, he's just misunderstood. And you get the severed head of Mimir to go and just tell mythology at you, and
It's just too bad
like,
that Kratos never thought to make a bunch of blades of chaos out of mistletoe. He might have dealt with Baldur a lot better.
yeah. Although there's really good foreshadowing for that because there's a point where you go and meet the witch who at this point you don't quite know is Freya yet. But Boy has some mistletoe arrows and she sees them and she freaks out and demands he destroy them.
Yeah.
So like if you know your Norse mythology, you know what that's leading to. Anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. Dad of Boy, really good. It's the best God of War story. The only time Kratos is relatable as a person, and it's just a mature and moving story about a boy and his dad trying to fulfill a loved one's dying wish. And well, that's another thing that I really like about it. A lot of the God of War games have this, but the actual objective is something really simple, and the world just conspires against you to stop you from doing it.
Well, to be fair, that's been a God of War's thing as well. You're given an objective, and it's literally everything else in between that.
Yeah. So yeah, my number 4 is God of War 4. God of 4 War. Dad of Boy.
Okay, well.
Right. So you're
getting on to my number 3, is it?
Yeah, I think it's your number. Wait, my number 5 was Kakarot.
Yeah.
So I think
so
you're.
Then,
are you on 4 now or 3?
I think I'm on 3 because we skipped your 5 to go on to my 4.
Ah, right, yeah.
My 4 was Valkyria Chronicles 4.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, my 3. Well, we're really hitting the top ones, aren't we? But I'm gonna have to throw in Final Fantasy VII's remake.
All right. Yeah, cool.
Hear me out. I get that it's not perfect.
It was almost on my list, dude. It's very good.
Look, it is not perfect. It is not the retail. It is not a complete thing. The fact that it literally only covers covers up to when they go to leave Midgar. It would normally turn a lot of people off, but it's everything in between. It is everything. It is making Barrett and Cloud's relationship more interesting. It's developing the relationship between Cloud and Tifa. It's making Avalanche actual characters rather than acquaintances that fall to an unfortunate accident at some point, and we're going, oh no, if only we could have stopped it. It's making Aerith actually, Aerith saying, oh shit, so in a way to me made her more relatable.
Yeah.
Like more relatable than she's ever been in some capacities.
No, I mean,
Also,
what
the
this
chair
game
shot.
does, it does incredibly well. I would have put it on my list. It is a much more polished game even than 15
and
was.
this is only something that appeals to me. Maybe I know it appeals to a lot of other people. Might not mean as much to you, but everything with the honeybee in and Wall Street in
Oh, I
particular,
love it.
Wall Market in particular,
I love it.
making Wall Market actually have an entire trio, like a trifecta of weird assholes.
Yeah.
The hand massage was fucking hilarious, by the way.
I
love
want
it.
an entire game on the dance-off mechanic that you had that one time. But just
Yeah, and of course the pull-ups. Also, I cannot stop humming the music for the squats, which I do have the trophy, the Sultan of Squats.
I didn't get that trophy yet.
Well, I kept challenging trying to think. I mean, you can do a similar thing later with the pull-ups.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. I think there's a trophy for that probably, but it's everything else. It's the relationship Cloud has with everyone else.
No, yeah.
I mean, I love Jesse. Let's be brutally honest.
Everything this game
Jesse.
does really, really well.
I mean, hell, it even gives Avalanche more to do, more like other sections of Avalanche. So it's not. Barrett isn't just the de facto leader, he just happens to be a leader of one particular branch.
Yeah, and also,
one that's not very well.
He's an actual leader in the remake, because in the original, you have to wonder why people are following this rude asshole. But in the remake, he's got a motivational speech ready to go at any time. He motivates his crew. He is a leader.
Which is something that, again, was a plot point in the original version, and the reason why no one followed him after they left Midgar, where they wanted Cloud to be the leader, because he wasn't really the leader type, and then he openly admits on disc 2 that that he thought he should be the leader, but realizes he really doesn't have what it takes. I will also say the only downsides, or one of the only disappointments, the new soldier rival that literally only appears a few times.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why, but
he's not a threat. He's not a threat in any way, shape, or form. He's more of just a caricature that appears. He's no threat in battle, no matter the difficulty setting, because once you've got a handle of the battle setting, which again I will throw up, is just Parasite Eve's one's battle system, and I'm happy for that. Yeah. But he's not really that much of a threat.
The point he serves in the narrative, I think, is to establish that Cloud can in fact go toe-to-toe with a soldier, because spoiler alert for a 20-odd-year-old game,
Cloud isn't what he thinks he is.
Yeah.
Let's just go with that.
Cloud was never actually in Soldier. He only thinks he was.
I mean, the last battle as well, it was not what I expected.
Yeah.
It kind of went a bit tits. I will admit, it went tits up towards the end, where Aerith suddenly starts talking like, she's read the script.
Yeah.
And she knows what's going on, and then suddenly she gets serious for the first time. Then Sephiroth appears a few times, and you have that whole battle with.
You're not even supposed to have seen Sephiroth yet. The reason it didn't make my list is because I don't like that. It's not that I don't like change. It seems arrogant. It seems almost sacrilegious to think that you can do better than Final Fantasy VII.
I think the reason they put the Sephiroth scenes in earlier is because we already knew full well that the spasms Cloud was having were his flashbacks of his real memory, overflowing with the memory he thinks he has, and also the Genova cells in him.
Yeah.
And we're seeing what Cloud was probably actually seeing at that time.
You definitely shouldn't have fought Sephiroth, and I'll tell you why. There's a really good video by...
First of all, it isn't the Sephiroth at all. We all know this if you've played the earlier game. It
doesn't matter. You still shouldn't have fought him.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I agree. You shouldn't have fought Sephiroth. Maybe have him for. He should have, at best, served at the end of the game for some kind of weird weird dialogue thing he has with Cloud, because his dialogue with Cloud is confused me throughout the entire game. Whether it was overtly sexual in some way,
I
I
don't
don't know.
like that they're playing up this rivalry between Cloud and Sephiroth, because that wasn't in the original game. Sephiroth barely knew who he was.
No. To be fair, in the original, and this is the mistake everyone makes with it, the Sephiroth that's around knows who Cloud is, kind of.
Yeah.
It's just he's got very few memories, because if you remember before the incident, the only memory he has is that Cloud threw him into the thing. Although someone I know has a theory that this Sephiroth is the same one from Dissidia.
Right,
Like the original Dissidia
I
games.
think that would be a bit much. But
well, it's mainly because that Sephiroth seems to know, like in Dissidia, that particular Sephiroth seems to know about the world he's from, and he seems to have, the more he kills himself in the Dissidia world, the more memories he gets, and he seems to understand more about the world than anyone else. I think it's a bit of a reach, but this Sephiroth does seem to know a lot more than he should. In fact, Aerith and Sephiroth seem to know more about the Whispers than they should.
Yeah. Right.
Because all the Whispers really serve to do is try to keep the story as it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Like, because it stops Cloud from killing Greeno and Rude when he has an ample chance to do it.
Yeah.
They stop him. They stop Barrett from killing people. They just get in the way. They stop. They get that scene where Aerith stays longer than she should have with Cloud and pull her away because she's not meant to be there.
Yeah.
And at the end, you've killed the Whispers, which in a way, which, as you said earlier, has given them free reign to do whatever they want, because the very things, let's call them the forces of will, let's just call them that were trying to keep the story the way it was, have now been killed.
Yeah.
So now nothing is stopping, and then there's that whole thing with Zack that they might have just changed the future there as the past as well. I don't know what they're going for, but considering this is the guy that does Kingdom Hearts, I'm worrying.
Yeah. That's why it didn't make my list. I
But the reason
loved
it's
that
made
game. I don't know that I want Tetsuya Nomura to write the rest of it.
Look, the thing is, I'm saying it as it is now. It's on my list now purely for where it stands at the moment.
But I still want to tell you why I think you shouldn't have fought Sephiroth. There is a really good video by Super Eye Patch Wolf called "The Impact of Final Fantasy VII." Have you seen it?
No, I haven't, but
right.
I will.
Well, there's a bit where he talks about how Sephiroth is presented in that game, and I hadn't really thought about it this way at the time. The first you actually see of Sephiroth is in the flashback, and he is so much more powerful than you. Like, you are standing next to a god in comparison. He takes out enemies, like, with one hit, does about 30 times as much damage as you, clears entire battles with a single spell, and then...
Should also probably point out that Cloud at that time is considered a first-class soldier, and therefore is considered one of the best of the best of the best of the best.
Yeah, and...
He's the same rank as Sephiroth, and yet he can't
and he's
do any
so
damage
much weaker than him. And then the next enemy you fight, the tough one, is the Midgard Zolom, which is really tough for you at that point in the game. I'd be very surprised if you managed to beat it. So you have to get the Chocobo to hop across, and then the first thing you see is another Midgard Zolom impaled to a tree, presumably by Sephiroth. That monster...
Actually, again, it's not Sephiroth, it's Genova.
It doesn't matter. The point is...
I know it doesn't matter, but you know, semantics. It's Genova doing it, and keeping in mind that Genova is at this point is under the control or influence of Sephiroth. So by proxy,
it doesn't matter who it is. The point is that the thing that you are chasing, the enemy that you are trying to catch, is so much more powerful than you that you don't know how you hope to live up to them. And that was the point of that scene. And at the end of the remake, you've already beaten him once. By the time you've left Midgar. Oh, hello. Hold on.
Well, you've beaten an iteration of him.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Sam. You're going to have to repeat that. I had to take the headphones
you've beaten an iteration of him.
Yeah, but still, like, Genova was an iteration of him as well, and the strength gap still applied, that
Well, the
power
gap,
gap
well, the
isn't
gap
there
between, well, the
anymore.
thing is again, the gap between what Sephiroth ends up as and the Sephiroth we're familiar with is still dramatic as well, because you got to remember that
Yeah,
even
but
if Cloud
not
got up to
everyone
the
might
strength.
be familiar with that Sephiroth, though. Like the.
All I'm saying though is that even if Cloud and his team got up to the point where they were stronger than the Sephiroth of the past, the overpowering god version,
Well, the level
the
cap is at
Sephiroth
the same level he was at, so I think
the
that's
Se- the,
deliberate.
Se- the Sephiroth from the Sephiroth of now, the one that's been bathing in Mako for the better part of 7 years,
Yeah.
is basically overpowering. Might I point out, Genova, which was a powerful alien thing that almost destroyed the entire planet, and Sephiroth basically has complete control of that thing.
Yeah. Hello? Sam?
I'm going to absorb the energy of the Earth thing.
Ah, right, yeah. I lost you for a second there.
So what?
I lost you for a bit there, but I got
Sorry.
the gist of what you were saying.
Yeah, basically, the Sephiroth of the past is powerful. Granted, yes,
Yeah.
he's very fucking powerful. That's like the
But-
entire point. But again, I agree with you completely.
Yeah,
You
that's
shouldn't have fought You shouldn't have fought Sephiroth. They should have done that whole thing. You know the whole thing at the end of the original Disc 1, where you see Sephiroth and Cloud's about to fight him, and he just like throws a Genova piece at you,
yeah.
like an anime villain. He throws a piece of a monster at you that you fight, and then as the game goes on, you fight more and more versions of Genova.
Yeah.
He should have just done that because he already did that once in the Shinra building.
Yeah. And well,
But
yeah,
also,
that was good.
if you remember, the Whispers also stopped the death of Barrett.
Right. Okay, I think we should probably move on to
Yeah, we
another
should.
game.
Yeah, sorry. I should have known this would
Now,
go this way.
I got into it as well. We both
Yeah,
rambled on.
we all do it. Look, this is. I think we should just reiterate. Final Fantasy VII means a lot to both of us.
Yeah, and the don't get me wrong, I loved the remake. It was so good, and I when I finished it, I felt bereft of things to do because I didn't have this game to play anymore. Yeah.
I mean, I went back through to pick up the ultimate weapons, but
Yeah.
and get Bahamut because it's not a Final Fantasy game without Bahamut.
No, I never got Bahamut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so on to your number 3, I guess.
Was it?
Was it your number 2?
Well, I think it was probably. Well, my number 3 was Spider-Man, which we've covered. So your next one, please.
Okay. I wasn't expecting to be back on the podium this soon, but well, something a bit more fun and silly.
Yeah.
Nah, screw it. I'm just gonna throw in Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Ah, right. I haven't got those yet. Do tell.
Now, now. Granted, the point I know the answer beginning is how is it different from other games? Well, one, it's not. It changes a few small narrative things. Like you're no longer just thrown in at the beginning of the game and go, "Oh well, look at you. You're finally of age. Get out of my house. Get yourself a pet and fuck off." Now it's very British. That's also another selling point for me.
Yeah.
It's very British, but you leave the house and you've got a friend and everything. You've got a friend. And the game literally starts with you hanging out with your friend, and his brother is the champion or something. And the way that you join the Pokemon League now is that they give you a Pokemon. Well, you have to be endorsed by a Pokemon trainer, like a registered Pokemon trainer. So it's actually treated like some kind of actual community now.
Yeah.
So you can't just pick up a Pokemon and suddenly go in. You've got to earn the respect, earn the endorsement. So you earn your endorsement, you get your Pokemon,
Yeah.
and you go on to the gyms. But this time it's not a matter of you fight these people and fight the gym leader. You've got to do like an actual puzzle in each gym that's themed, and then you make your way over to the next gym leader, which you've got to beat. And these can be anything from doing simple logic puzzles to navigation puzzles to gaining points to even doing a quiz. And then you fight the gym leader. You can change your clothing and stuff. The Dynamax stuff is a new thing where your Pokemon becomes giant and sometimes gains new moves.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. The only downside was that the game doesn't support a lot of the earlier Pokemon, although the DLC that's been added has started to support some of the older generations.
Yeah.
So that's a downside to it, but it's just the presentation of it
I
this
hate
time.
that they took out Pokemon to sell them back to you, essentially, which they did.
Yeah.
Oh, Jack says his
Also,
number 3 is
also,
Samurai
after
Jack
speaking
Battle
with-
Through Time. I plan to get that. It seems
Also,
good.
when I was speaking to Ian, I noticed that him and me actually had two completely different gym leaders at one particular point in the game.
Cool.
I
True.
got a great leader, and Ian got a ghost one.
I'm back.
Ah,
Hello.
Ian's back.
Also, I got some other guy. Also, funny little connection between the two. In Ian's copy of the game, he has an ice gym leader, who's like one of the last few years. In my version, I've got that particular character's son as a character to fight.
Right.
Also, they integrate the Sword and Shield, the legendary Pokemon into it, like so that this time, instead of it being one of those, oh look, you can only catch one and you can only get this one specific Pokemon. Oh, how sad. The other one will just fade out of existence or something. This time they make it so your partner, well, your rival, gets the other one.
Right.
Don't forget to mention that it's very British.
Yep.
I mentioned it's very British.
That was one of the first things he said.
Like the old-fashioned bobbies.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see any bobbies, but hearing them constantly go, I'm just going off to see me mum, or them putting accents on the characters and stuff.
Yeah.
Me mum.
Me mum.
I'm going off to see me mum. But yeah, I loved that. I also liked that there isn't really. I wouldn't really say there's a Team Rocket in this game or anything either.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of weirdos that follow this girl around.
Oh yeah, they're just cheerleaders. They're not even evil. They just turn up and they're just supporting someone with face paint and everything, like soccer hooligans.
Right. Well, what number are we on for you, Sam?
Well, I think I've just done number 2.
Right. Why don't you catch Ian up? I've got to go to the bathroom. Why don't you start catching Ian up on what he's missed, and then Ian can rattle off his down to number 2.
Okay. Well, I've done Valkyria Chronicles and Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
The remake. Ollie had Final Fantasy VII the remake, and
no, we chatted a lot about the remake.
We did.
Let's see, what did I have before I go to the bathroom? I'll tell you. I had Super Mario Odyssey, Kakarot, God of War. Yeah, God of War was my last one.
Yeah, you did Dad a Boy, because we had a long conversation about that as well.
Yeah, and well.
Yeah, and I did Valkyria Chronicles 4 right after you left, and then Pokemon.
Right, I'll be right back, guys.
So I'm now up to my number 1.
Right.
So I guess you're doing your 3 and your 4. Well, your 4, your 3, and your 2.
Well, I'm at number 4 now.
Well, that's what I said. Your 4, your 3, and your 2. Those
Yeah.
are the ones. Those are the ones to catch up with us.
Well, I have to cross off Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Okay, well.
That was my number 1.
Oh, sorry about that.
Hmm.
Okay, so what was your number 4?
My number 4 is Until Dawn.
Oh God, yeah, Until Dawn. I knew one of you was going to choose that one. I liked that.
Yeah, great game. You know, putting you in a situation where you play multiple characters and it's just like being in a horror movie. Except
I like it. I like it because of the whole tonal shift. Because at first you think, oh, there's a killer on the mountain that's coming to get you.
Yeah.
And you find out it's just Josh. But then it turns out something is actually, at the same time, something has actually been going around and killing you, and it's the Wendigos.
Yeah. And not the Stephen King kind.
And or the ones from Borderlands where you just hunt them and shoot them.
Mm.
I'm
after
back.
finding
Sorry,
their
did I
Wendigo
miss anything?
shit. No. He's just chosen his number 4, which is Until Dawn.
Ah, I remember Until Dawn.
I
Yeah.
liked the fact that I liked the fact you could just change who survived to the end, and I've noticed a lot of people always kill one particular character.
Emily.
Yeah, everyone kills Emily.
Oh, she was annoying.
Although I did also in that game I did go back to make sure the dog survived that one chapter.
The only actor I'd seen before was Brett Dalton, who played what's his name, and I remember being struck by just how lifelike it looked.
Well, they did actually like mocap them based on the actual actors who played them.
Yeah.
I remember. I can't remember the character's name, but wasn't it Hayden Panettiere?
Hayden Panettiere.
Yeah, she was in Heroes, and she was the original voice of Kyrie.
Yeah.
Wow.
In Kingdom Hearts. And then you have Josh, who's Rami Malek, who recently played Freddie Mercury in the Queen movie.
Oh, nice.
And now he's going to be the new Bond villain.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, I love the twists and turns this story takes, and some of the characters kind of okay, except for Emily.
I mean, the stats mean nothing. I just want to throw that out there. The stats don't mean jack shit. It does nothing. You could have a character with the highest, courage, and still make them act like a coward because you have the choice to make them do it.
Yeah.
Why even put them there then?
I don't know why they're there. I mean, certain decisions obviously will affect certain things, so, that's always a fun thing. It's good for your decisions to actually mean something. I mean I actually might want to do a replay of that at some point.
I mean, some decisions are actually do affect the game, like whether you choose whether or not to kill that squirrel.
Well, killing that squirrel, or that one point with that guy with the glasses, if you chose to, when you were in that Saw-like situation, you could have chose to kill that girl. If you chose to kill her with a gun that had no ammo in, when he needs to come in, she'll just leave him out there to be killed by the Wendigo. Like small things like that. And also the attention to detail that I fell for because I didn't pay attention to a document that they could imitate, Wendigo could imitate voices. So I fell for the whole the girl crying thing or asking for help.
Yeah.
I got my head sliced off. And god damn that last little bit where you can't move the controller.
Oh yeah, I ended up.
Otherwise, Hannah starts tearing your eyes out. Oh god, that was tense. I mean, it took so much work to get everybody to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, usually everyone lives in my game except for Emily, but in my last playthrough, I got the main girl killed by accident because of the damn control thing.
Yeah.
But I like to think that she gave her life to save her friends.
Yeah, I mean, even if you save everyone, Josh still dies no matter what, in some capacity. I mean, he either dies or he becomes a Wendigo.
Yeah, and there's always stuff to collect, so you can get like full background information on like the actual game itself.
Yeah. Yeah, Until Dawn's one of the few cinematic movies I'd love.
Yeah.
Cinematic games, I should say, that I love.
Yeah.
It really is like playing a horror movie, and I love as I said earlier, I just love how it changes tone from, ooh, there's a serial killer with a mask that's trying to kill us, to there's an actual mystical fucking monster that's trying to kill us while you're playing this fucking prank, you mentally deranged psychopath.
Yeah, that was a good twist.
That was because to begin with, you do think there's like something weird going on, and then when it's just Josh in a clown mask. And then it's like, well, yeah, it was a lot of it was just him, but what was him doing or pulling these pranks, and what was actually the Wendigo?
Yeah.
But the pigs were definitely him, but the deers, no, those were the Wendigos.
Right, Until Dawn. Pretty good. That was your number 4, Ian.
Yeah.
All right, what is your number 3?
My, my number 3 is Berserk and the Band of the Hawk.
Interesting. Go on.
Tell me what you want.
What I love
ahead.
about this game is just that, well, I'm a fan of Berserk.
Yeah,
And,
it inspired Dark Souls, you know.
yeah,
Yeah, we told you that.
yeah. And, yeah, it's a pretty... Yeah, I just love, like, how it goes through, like, each chapter... you know, picks up on little details like that, you know, in each chapter. I mean, it didn't go to a great deal, but
Well, it skipped out some of the obvious stuff that might have been risque, like the Lost Children are. But it
Yeah.
definitely covers a lot more than the anime ever did.
yeah, and yeah, I mean, the characters are always like a joy to play as, and
Mainly Guts.
mainly Guts, yeah, but yeah, it's and it's good to be like play something that's is set in that world. Yeah, and to take part in those battles, those wars, those little moments.
I will say that I do think the Dynasty Warriors style of killing hundreds in a few blows does kind of hurt it in the 100-man battle bit.
Hmm.
That's the only bit, because the entire point of that scene was it was Guts fighting off 100 people, but when you do it in the game, you're killing thousands.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, it sounds more impressive, but it kind of also takes away from the seriousness of the scene.
Yeah.
But that's the only complaint I have against it. I love the art style. I love that it's basic. To be honest, it reminded me of Fist of the North Star Ken's Rage, to be honest, with how gritty and violent it actually was compared to the usual Dynasty Warriors stuff.
Oh, I love that game.
I know, I love Fist of the North Star Ken's Rage as well.
Yeah.
But I'd say that, in my opinion, because I have the game as well, Berserk is like the PS4 era's version of that game, to a degree.
Yeah.
Especially when you get the Berserk armor.
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
I mean, there have been other like Berserk games before. I mean, like
Yeah, the Dreamcast one was a nightmare. The
I mean, there was a
PS2 one is just only in Japan.
yeah, that one. That one. Whereas the Dreamcast one is like its own like story, whereas
The PS2 one is covering the stuff after the Golden Age arc.
yeah, up to like the bit with Slan.
Oh god, yes, I know you don't like Slan that much.
Yeah, and so yeah, but I would love to see like a Berserk, another like Berserk game, but not done in the Dynasty Warriors style, but kind of like its own thing.
Oh yeah, I think Berserk needs a lot more recognition, and sadly, the fact that we only get crossovers here and there as its only recognition,
Yeah,
I think it deserves more.
yeah, and it would help a lot more if the guy just freaking finished it.
But Ian, Idolmaster.
No excuse.
Okay.
I just feel like the self-righteous brothers coming in.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, I agree. I agree with your Berserk Band of the Hawk.
all right,
Yeah.
and your number
Of
2,
course,
if
that
you
was back when
please,
it was
Ian.
called Berserk Band of the Thrush.
Okay, my number 2 is World End Syndrome.
Interesting. Go on.
Yeah. This one is another visual novel, but more like horror-based.
Sounds intriguing.
Yeah, you joined me on a live stream of it.
I do not remember this.
It was just mostly me like narrating the story.
I see. I have no memory of this game, so you're gonna have to refresh me.
Okay, guy moves to a new town,
Yeah.
and he's staying at a place that was owned by someone,
Most places
and
are.
he has to share with a girl.
Okay.
Yeah, and he goes to school and he hangs around with a really annoying guy who immediately decides he's his best friend.
Oh yeah, I think I am starting to remember something. Yeah.
Yeah, and the overall premise of it is that there's something strange going on in the town, like maybe supernatural forces are at play, or there's a killer lurking, a killer on the loose. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't completed the game as of yet. Well, I've done like different like routes,
Yeah.
involving like each of like the love interests.
Well, regardless, you must be very fond of it if it's on your list, especially so
Yeah,
high on your list.
yeah, it's pretty high on the list because I'm just intrigued by the mystery of it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like a game that keeps you guessing.
Oh,
I
that's
mean, I have yet. I mean, I have yet to like do another part of the stream, and then I think what I plan to do is like I do finish off where I left off, but then start like the final route. Well, like the one remaining love interest route, and then we get to like what is called the truth route, where everything is explained.
I see.
But what I like about it is that it's the darkness of it that makes it so good. But also like the lives of the other characters. Like one's there's a character who's secretly a pop idol, but she has to go incognito, and another one is like harassed by this rich dude who knows her secrets.
Yeah.
And another one is like going around trying to solve the mystery of the town, which lands her in a bit of trouble. So yeah, World End Syndrome, interesting, dark, and keeps you guessing, and that's why it's my number 2.
Okay.
Ah, good. All right.
Then I guess
My turn
can I do
again.
an honourable mention before I do my number 1?
Okay, but
Honourable mention because honestly, I wanted this to be my number 1, but honestly, I like this other one better now that I think about it. So my honourable mention is the Resident Evil 2 remake.
okay, cool.
My reasoning for it is it didn't necessarily copy the story of Resident Evil 2, but it gave us what we've been wanting for 20 years, and it also did the one thing that no one thought was possible: make Mr. X terrifying.
Yeah. But also, there's the XCOM Give It To You mod, which is brilliant.
Well, yeah, there's that, but the thing is, again, Mr. X kind of originally he was just a thing there, and the Nemesis kind of improved upon him. In this generation, Mr. X is terrifying, and the Nemesis is more like what Mr. X was back in the PS1 era.
Right.
You can take Nemesis down in like one shot if you know what you're doing, and he's just a minor obstacle that only appears in story-related bits. That's the ultimate irony.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I haven't put it on my list, is because originally Mr. X would turn up in story situations and you could take him down easy. Nemesis could turn up wherever he wanted and fuck with your game plan. Whereas in the remakes, Resident Evil Mr. X can be anywhere and ruin your puzzle solving time.
Yeah.
Whereas Nemesis only turns up whenever the story demands he turns up, and he's not really that much of a threat.
Right.
But my number 1 game is...
Hold on. I haven't done my number 2 yet.
Oh shit! Sorry.
Yeah.
Do it.
Okay. I haven't done my number 2 yet. Okay.
Ew.
Right. So, my number 2 game of this generation may surprise you. It is Ghost of Tsushima.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Right, okay, so I'll be brief. Ghost of Tsushima is possibly the best looking game I have ever played. So the scenery is just absolutely beautiful. it has the sandbox open world formula down to a fine art, but with samurai and standoffs and just it improves upon everything that something like, say, Assassin's Creed did back when I played those. And like, apparently that series has changed since Black Flag. I don't know, but Ghost of Tsushima is brilliant. And the thing I like most about it is it almost punishes you for taking the stealth route, which you could take, because he's a samurai. That's not how they do things. And there's this really fun standoff mechanic where
Hey, sorry, it cut me off for some reason.
ah
Yeah.
ah
Sorry about that.
right. Well, there's this really fun standoff mechanic in Ghost of Tsushima where even if you've been stealthy and killed some people up till now, you can just walk out as bold as brass and scream, "Fight me, you cowards!" And you can do that draw cut thing to kill up to 3 of them, or 5 if you're wearing the Sakai armor. Which and you've upgraded it enough. And the story is like really above par for video games. Like, it's a really good story. The finale is haunting. The final boss fight, and well, it is a huge map, but you never tire of exploring it. Everything looks really good. I've probably showed you a screenshot or two now and then. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is the last word in sandbox period drama games. And it's set during the Mongol invasion of Japan, which, is a very interesting period in history. And, well, it's a samurai game. It has the Kurosawa mode, which is like black and white for a more cinematic feel. I honestly wouldn't recommend using it. This game's use of colour is sublime. Like, I mean, seriously, just look at this game sometime. It's breathtaking. And also, yeah, story really good. The only thing I would say is that it's a bit excessively serious for a lot of it. The characters are all likable. Yeah, it's a really good version of what it's trying to be, developed by Sucker Punch of infamous fame. Yeah.
All right.
So that's my number 2.
Okay, my number 1 is probably not going to be a surprise to anyone.
Okay.
Persona 5 Royal.
Go on.
Okay, so basically, if you know me enough, you know I love my turn-based RPGs, and I love the Shin Megami Tensei series more than anything.
Yeah.
So when Persona 5 first came out, I loved it because it was not only using the Persona style of the game, it did bring back some of the old staples of the original SMT games from the 80s, like negotiating with with demons to get them to join you, using guns, and to be honest, this time in the game you actually feel like an underdog because the last 2 games that have been of the modern era of Persona have been you literally being pulled. The third game is literally you being pulled into a secret society that understands there's a 24th hour and you're trying to defeat shadows in order to save the world kind of thing. Persona 4 is basically a fucked up episode of Scooby-Doo using basically personas.
Yeah.
And Persona 5, you are the underdogs in the entire thing. Like the game literally starts with, and to be fair, it adds the social sim life of you starting at school, but basically everyone hates you because the first real villain of the game lies to the school and tells everybody in there that you're an asshole, that you've done all these horrible things, so everyone's afraid to go near you.
Yeah.
And very few people know he's actually an asshole who physically assaults all of the younger students and possibly sexually assaults the female ones.
I remember this part of the standard game, yeah.
Yeah, so eventually you go into his shadow world due to, the MacGuffins, as it were, and see what his world is like. And the game is like the original base version where I could be talking about Royal or the original, to be honest, but Royal adds so many other slice of life things into the game. Like, It adds a new character and integrates her well into the story as Kasumi. I
Right.
sadly haven't finished the game as I've had other things to play as well.
Yep.
And my PS4 is currently in the shop being fixed.
Yeah.
But the added Showtime moves, which add a dramatic thing between characters, including a JoJo / Fist of the North Star reference, I swear to God,
Yeah.
where one of them literally does the ta 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 thing at your enemy.
Yeah.
The story has really been there's like an extended reality bit of the story, so it continues on further from what Persona 5 did. But everything from the gaining of personas in this game to the general story and the characters alone, and the only real change to the story is they changed a few lines of dialogue because it turns out Japanese humor doesn't translate very well into Western media.
Right.
So the idea of old gay men who, teasing and chasing after younger men.
Yeah, I can see how that wouldn't go over well
Yeah, it
here.
doesn't work well over here, but in Japan that's a common joke. Apparently it's just a very common trope. So they've
Right.
changed it a little bit in this one, so it's more that they think the guy will be a great model, and they want to like assign him to some thing or something, and he doesn't want anything to do with it, so he runs off. Ultimately, it doesn't hurt the story anyway because they were just a gag. But everything else, because the one thing I'll be happy they've kept is the Cake Night Rises. When you go to the cinema and they redo the entirety of the Dark Knight, like the scene from the Dark Knight, but with a psychopathic pastry maker. The line is something like, "I'm nothing like you. You're a psychopath who bakes for money."
Ha!
Do you know what? You really realize what a person is when they make their choice, cake or pie. You get to see what kind of sick human being they really are. But yeah, it just does that entire "you're a psychopath who kills for money" thing, but turns it into basically an argument at Greg's.
Oh.
I mean, to be fair, if you're familiar with Persona, they've always done references. I mean, they did a Twilight reference in 4, which now looking back at it is cringe, where you actually can make your character physically sick by reading a book based on sparkly vampires.
Right. Yeah, that
and
is
it
pretty
literally makes
cringe.
your character physically sick because of how bad it's written. Yeah, this is a thing, but there's also all the other free things, like they've redesigned the palaces for Royal, so you now get a grappling hook to get to get to different areas.
Yeah.
There's also extra bits called will seeds that are added to Royal that can boost your stats, but if you get 3 of them in each palace, you get a bonus item, and they're somehow tied to the mental psyche of the guy.
Yeah.
Well, the palace you're in. There's also a few obviously extra events like based on Japanese holidays, like White Day, Black Day, Girls' Day, Christmas Day, stuff like that. Japan has a lot of holidays basically,
Yeah.
but Royal is basically just it is an enhanced version of Persona 5. But Persona 5 came out this generation as well. And I honestly think it's a game anyone who likes JRPGs in general should play.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I fully recommend Royal.
Right. Okay.
And that's why it's my number 1 game of this generation.
Ian, your number 1 game of this
Fight me.
generation, please.
Well, my number 1, you've already said.
Have I?
Oh,
Both
Final
you.
Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
Right. Well, tell us
Sorry,
what you want to say about that.
Yeah, you might as well.
Well, what I love about it is that it's Final Fantasy 7.
Is it though?
Yeah, its novelty is enough to sell it to a lot of people, and I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I love about it is that it expanded on number 7 a bit.
Yeah, it did.
And yeah, I mean,
Jesse.
So I was getting to that.
We all love Jesse.
Yeah.
We all love Jesse Raspberry.
Yeah, the fact that we got to get to know Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse a bit more.
Yeah.
And we got to know the situation regarding the slums as well in more detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did miss that out. I did miss that out, but yeah, the slums when I first got there, because if you remember, I got the game like 10 days before everybody else did.
Hmm.
And I was struggling so much not to mention. My God, the slums actually look like slums now.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing I neglected to mention earlier that I really want to talk about: the set design is amazing.
Absolutely.
In particular, I want to draw attention to Midgar, in that if you are, no matter where you are in the city, you can see Shinra HQ as if it's looming over you like an ever-present sort of malevolent force.
Which it is.
Exactly, yeah.
If you can see
Also,
above
can
the
I
plate
also
at all,
point out that
which
the
has a lot of detail on it.
Sorry. I was going to say that I also got one of my favorite lines from that game.
What's that?
Learn to shit yourself before you start going through other people's crap.
Yeah.
Basically, when you're doing this stuff for the guardian angel of the slums,
Oh yeah.
it turns out that girl in the stripy stockings that's always causing
Wasn't
problems.
it learn to wipe your own ass?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah.
But I just love that. I love that line in general. Mainly because it's coming from an old person, but also, I think the only real disappointment. I think there was only a few minor disappointments, and at least we got to see Palmer go on about his butter in his tea.
Yeah.
Don't forget
I
the
remember
lard.
Liz watching that and going, "Who the fuck does that?"
He does.
Clearly diabito over here.
I've put
No.
honey in tea before.
Honey is one thing, but putting entire bits of lard and butter in there.
Sugar, honey, and lard.
Lots of lard. I want to emphasize that. Lots and lots of lard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just grease, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
not tea, that's
he
grease.
drinks grease. He might as well go to a Pizza Hut and order from there.
What I also love about it is the voice acting.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Wonderful performances. I mean, I know we didn't get the cast from like the Advent Children and the Dirge of Cerberus, but I think this new cast is brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love that they extended Sector 6.
Yeah.
I love all those people. I love Aerith hitting someone with a chair.
Yeah.
The dance
I
off.
love all
the dance off.
Yeah. Yes, the dance off, and let's not forget the Honeybee Inn in general, and the fact they added the Honey Boys.
Yeah.
Honey Boys. I loved it.
And that one scene of Palmer chasing a girl with a net.
Oh, good Lord.
Also, let's not forget the whole when Cloud reveals his gender this time. Instead of him just spinning round, you get to see Don Corneo's face.
Yeah. I'm a dude.
I have a penis. Even better.
And some great, wonderful performances, and I liked the performance done by Tifa.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. She's voiced by what's her name from Glow, the daughter.
Ah, wow, that's her. Nice.
Yeah, it's her. And I also liked Jessica. Definitely liked Jessica Lindback as Jessie.
Oh yeah.
I should also point out she also does the voice of Black Cat in the Spider-Man game.
Nice.
So wow. And yeah, so the voice acting is great, but the game does have its downsides. I want to bring that up.
Okay.
Yes.
I think the biggest downside for me was we kind of lost the mystery of Sephiroth.
Yes, yes. We've had an entire conversation about the whole Sephiroth being in thing and him being involved.
He shouldn't have appeared
the
yet.
expectation that we knew Sephiroth is around kind of ruined everything.
Yeah. So yeah, it kind of for me it ruined the mystery surrounding the character. I mean, it's okay to bring up his name, but to
not only introduce him, but to have you beat him at the end, it feels wrong.
Yeah. And Also,
That-
another downside I thought was the whole bit in Hojo's lab.
Yeah. And also, it looks like they're probably going towards saving Aerith, which, cool, but also it kind of runs counter to the message of the original, and I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
And that's if that happens. That's speculation, so I can't really.
Yeah. All I can say is that I mean, I think the good does outweigh the bad.
Oh, by far.
Yeah. But
The fact it look here's the thing: the fact it looks as good as it is not a rush job. This isn't a quick, hey, graphical upgrade or let's get the bare minimum. I mean, on paper, when you say, oh, it starts at the beginning, in Sector 1 and then ends when you leave Midgar, does not sound like much.
No,
But then you see that the game takes up 100 gig, and you're like, holy fuck, that's got to go somewhere.
No, they built a lot. They bolted a lot of extra content on for Midgar to make it a full game.
yeah.
Midgar is more than just a small section of areas now.
Yeah.
Midgar is a city.
Mm.
It has lived in places.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, it has little hot dog stands and stuff. Giving out food rations that play Yuffie's theme.
Yeah. And yeah, and this and
Also, and this
obviously-
may be a small thing, but the subquests are voiced.
Mm.
Do you know how rare that is in anything?
Yeah, but yeah. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh. Trying to remember what I was going to say.
Sorry, I just suddenly remembered that this was the only game that I've played in a while that actually had the subquests voiced. I thought that was a big issue. That's a big thing.
It is. It is.
Yeah. So,
Was it about Midgar?
oh yeah, I remember now. I remember this game. Obviously, a lot of love and care has been put into it.
Oh, evidently. I don't believe there is one person on that team that didn't love Final Fantasy VII growing up.
Yeah, I mean, you know that the voice actors played the game afterwards anyway.
And
Like, they've got
also,
that stream of them
the
playing it.
game's director, Tetsuya Nomura, was actually the character designer on the original.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
that's great.
I do now.
So, Cloud looks the way he does because of Tetsuya Nomura. So, in a way, if there is anyone that does deserve to take on the direction of the game, it is Nomura. But I still don't know if I want him writing it.
But
Yeah, I think some reins have to be put around his balls to stop him.
yeah, and
Sephiroth's going to be a good guy now. No, Tug. Ah,
Bad Nomura! Bad!
Ah, my children.
and all in all, I really enjoyed this game, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
So am I,
Alright.
with bated breath.
Guys,
Because,
I'm gonna have to go now and get dinner ready because it looks like
okay.
we're out. So
Right, well,
I'm sorry, Ollie. I'm gonna have to leave you for now.
Okay. Well, just stay to say what my number one is. I'll explain why, and
Okay.
then you can go. Right. So my number one, I don't have any honourable mentions, is Yakuza 0.
Okay.
Fair enough.
That is my game of this generation. Sam, you can take off now if you like.
Thank you for playing. Thank you very much, Ollie. I'll be back later, and I know what you're gonna say, and I'll just say my piece here before I go, in
Yeah.
case you don't say it. The
Yeah.
deepening of Majima as a character, but
Sam, I've lost you. I think we've lost him.
Oh.
Right. Well, anyway, I've had to do a lot of soul searching in this list, and I've come to the conclusion that not only is Yakuza 0 my favourite game of this generation, it might be my favourite game full stop of all time.
Okay.
And that was occupied by Shenmue for nostalgia reasons. But after the disappointment that was Shenmue 3, and I liked Shenmue 3, I enjoyed playing
Yeah.
it, but it was a
Hmm.
massive disappointment.
Yeah,
And
it was.
and well, Yakuza was what scratched my Shenmue itch before
Yeah.
that, and it's better. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
want to admit it, but it's better. And
It's a fun game.
I now confidently can say that Yakuza is my favourite series, and Zero is my favourite one. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, I don't even know what you can say about Yakuza games without playing them, but there's so much love and care put into even the tiny sub-stories of these games. You can play through the entire game, never even notice half the content. You could get lost in one of these games for weeks on end and still not see everything. And the combat system in Zero took a bit of getting used to, but I think they got it down to a fine art. It also, subsequent games like Kiwami 2 and Yakuza 6 went with a new engine that made the battles feel a little understated. And I think Zero was the last one to really have that over-the-top energy that Yakuza has. I mean, not that the others didn't have it, this just had it more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, Kazuma Kiryu might be one of my favourite game protagonists. Just, like, I don't know how to explain it. He's such a stoic badass, but he's also, like, a really down-to-earth, chill guy who will do anything for anyone. And he's also kind of an idiot because some of the things he agrees to do for people.
Well, at least he doesn't go looking for sailors.
No, there is that.
Yeah.
Although, apparently there is a minigame in Yakuza 6 where you can harpoon a giant squid, and I never saw it. I played through that game, and there's a whole sub-game about fighting sea monsters and exploring and treasure hunting, and I never got to it. So I'm going to have to go back for that.
All right.
But yeah, Yakuza 0 is my game of this generation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we've gone for 2.25 hours, so the length of a Star Wars prequel.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Do you have anything to say, Ian, before we wrap it up?
Well, I do have a few honourable mentions, but I don't think we have enough time.
Oh, we've got time. Go ahead and we'll rattle them off if you like.
Okay. I'll make them short, brief. I mean, one was already mentioned, and that was Pokemon Shield.
Nice.
I mean, there isn't really anything I can add to that Saf hasn't already said.
Yeah, okay. And what about the others?
The other ones is Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
I have heard very good things about that, but I never played it.
Yeah, it's just the original Pokemon game, but with a few added extras.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is good, and it did take me back to those times, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
nostalgia.
is great.
It's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my favourite one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next one is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Nice. Well, it's Super Smash Brothers, but with every character ever. What more do you want?
Yeah. And
Jack says his number one is Destroy All Humans 2020. Cool.
Yeah. And what I love about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is that it's got every single character that's ever been in the Smash Bros. Game in it, so you're in for a good time. Also, there's DLC with some extra characters. Well,
it had Banjo-Kazooie.
Yes, Banjo and Kazooie is an. I mean, what more do you want? It's Banjo and Kazooie.
And Joker from Persona 5 in the same game.
Yeah. I mean, again, Banjo and Kazooie.
How do I feel about Telford? I'm not sure what you mean, Jack. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and plus you can make your own characters.
Yeah. I haven't done that yet. I have unlocked everyone though, and that was a chore to do. Yeah. But once I got there, I was very happy to have got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is the ultimate in Smash Brothers. But yeah, unless there's
Yeah,
anything
so,
else.
Yeah, and just two more.
Okay.
Just two. Then there's Sherlock Holmes: Crime and Punishment.
I played a bit of that, but not too much of it. But I can understand why it would be here.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is just a game that's just well, it's just a game of thinking, really, trying to like solve like the murder or the robbery or whatnot, and
Yeah.
you can just take your time with it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in no hurry. I mean, you can just like go top to bottom and still not go anywhere, but still like thinking. And plus, the graphics are pretty good for what it is, for what they were. Yeah, I mean, I've seen better, but they're good for what they are.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And
The yeah, two more to go. The next one is the Disney Afternoon Collection.
I see. Huh.
Yeah, some old yeah, they're just like old NES games from like based on like Disney TV shows,
Yeah.
like like DuckTales, Chip and Dale, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, and
Yeah. I mean, those
Tailspin.
DuckTale kids, every day they're out there making DuckTales. They don't take a day off. Look,
Yeah,
that's dedication.
absolutely. Yeah, so of course I didn't grow up with these games when I was a kid, but I do love but I did love those cartoons growing up,
Yeah.
and so it's good to experience something that others have experienced back in their youth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, they're fun little games, and the the fun part is if you make a mistake, you can just rewind backwards before you even made that mistake.
Ah, yeah. The NES Online on the Switch has that similar function.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right,
Yep. But the last one on the list is well, the last honourable mention. This is the very last one. Is Detention.
right, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's a survival horror game,
Cool.
and it's set in Taiwan during the White Terror,
Right.
which is like it was an actual event that happened. It's like a period of martial law that lasted for between 1949 to 1987.
Oh, what? Oh, right. I may have heard something about this game before. It does sound familiar.
Yeah, basically what it is, you play as like two students are trapped inside a school, and something weird is going on. They're like, it's like the school is like in a remote part of the mountains, and there are ghosts as well. You can't fight them. You can only like hide from them by holding your breath.
Yeah.
And so the reason why it's on the honourable mentions list is because, well, I haven't completed it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's a game that I do want to get back into at some point because, well, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fan of horror games, and when I saw this one, I thought, yeah, let's give this a go.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
And that's it for me.
Yeah. So, our games of the generation, respectively, Ian had Final Fantasy VII Remake, Sam had Persona 5 Royal, and I had Yakuza 0.
Yeah.
And I hope you have enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for joining us. We will see you soon.
Bye.